Hello, my dear friends. Welcome back to another edition of StarSound Speaks. This is your host, Irlianna of StarSound Astrology. So this conversation is going to be the astrology of November. Yeah, it's quite a packed month. We've got a lot of stuff going on. So we'll dive right in. So for those of you who are new to the channel, welcome, bienvenue, willkommen. Anyway, just as way of introduction, I do Hellenistic astrology, which is also known as traditional astrology, and I blend it with the outer planets in transits and things. So it's a blend of modern, ancient and modern, the very best of both. And anyway, just to let you know too, before we get started, it looks like I'll be doing another round of classes too, Astrology for Beginners. And this is a great opportunity if you're new to astrology or just know a little bit, and maybe you're feeling intimidated and overwhelming by the complexity of it all, because let's face it, it is. But there's always hope. Well, consider me your cosmic tour guide. So I love to help people, beginners, and people who are just learning this incredible sacred language. It has transformed my life, and I have seen how it has transformed others, the knowledge of this. So if you're interested in going deeper in with your own chart, and you just need that guiding hand to help you, we're going to be starting that up very soon. So just just shoot me an email, Irlianna@starsoundastrology.com, and just jump on. All right, so astrology for November. Yeah, we begin this November. This is actually going to start, I've been doing mine starting on Sundays. So Sunday, October 30th, then we're going to be heading into the whole month of November. So we start Sunday with the dun, 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 dun. Let's get what do they call those things? The kazoo trumpet. Mars is finally going retrograde. We have talked about this for months, and it is a huge transit. It's making aspects to outer planets and such, and it's certainly a big player in these eclipses, as we've been sharing. So that starts Sunday, and I go into that in great detail with others. Michael Bartlett, I talk about that too with the Cassandra Tyndall interview and my own other places. So if you've not seen them, go ahead and jump over to them for an in-depth analysis. But I will say that, the more I think about it, you always add on things, what Mars retrograde, and Mars is the planet of, athletics and physicality and, things of that nature, and drive and ambition. And I'm thinking, when it goes retrograde, we could see, and I've seen in history where there's been great like speed records set, like fast, and it's also out of bounds. So we could find somebody breaking like the 1 minute mile, and just outrageous feats, physical feats, and feats of courage too, when you think about Mars. Also, with it being in Gemini, there could be flight, athletics. I'm thinking even on a really mystical level, when you think about Gemini being the ruling telepathy, on the higher mind, on the esoteric levels, Gemini is like, it's about telepathic mind. And I think about Gemini and air and physical feats. It's like, what if people started levitating? Like, hey, if you've been taking your levitation lessons, you might find a breakthrough, or just being the act of even symbolically being light, but these powers, siddhis powers is what they're called in the Vedic tradition. These have been demonstrated for millennia with yogis and saints and things, that these are the outrageous things that are available to us as human beings. Now, of course, we have to be in a certain mind for that. But it's just, this idea of Mars retrograde and out of bounds in Gemini is going to break open our thinking wherever it has been limited, to say, wait, guess what? There are more things possible than you ever realized. So that could be a very exciting development, especially with out of box Mars. It's like out of box, out of bounds. It's Mars is not in its normal trajectory of declination above and below the equator. It's going out of that. So it's saying, hey, you know what? We can solve problems in different ways, and taking a different view of things. And, for instance, when you think about Mars' physical body, seeing our body is capable of doing things we didn't realize we could do. So that could be a very exciting, yes, will it be chaotic? Yes. Will people and yourself, change your mind a million times and a million times over? Yes. We're going to have to deal with all that, but there are some good things here too. So just to keep you, buoyed up and, empowered by that knowledge. Jupiter is now back into Pisces, 29 degrees of Pisces, conjunct the fixed star sheet. I've spoken about that too. And, I have to say, in terms of creativity, fantastic. If you've been any creative project that you were really on a roll with or wanted to start on a roll with back in the spring when it was in this degree, it's coming back. So between now and the next 2 months, we still got that juicy Piscean Jupiter, in its home sign of Pisces. So use this window wisely. We can come into our own truth. We can we can feel complete optimism and hope, and certainly needed right now, right? With the world being as it is. I would say the ability to, be there for others at a time of crisis, helping them discover their truth, huge for creativity, mercy, kindness, forgiveness. I would definitely use this window to seriously amp up prayers with the Ukraine, with what we're seeing there with Putin and all of these countries that, and Iran, the women in Iran, just sending, these are where our high wattage prayers, right? It's a great window for just really amping up that devotion. Pisces is all about devotion, right? It's like, I call that the sign of, the bhakti yogi who's just purely devoted to the divine. So go for it. All right. This coming week, I'm going to just give you some of the this coming week's transits, and then I'm just going to touch upon the just major ones for the month of November. What I'm going to do is just keep this short and sweet and summarize the major transits, and then I'll go into more detail with as we do weekly astro, we'll delve into it more deeply. But overall speaking, this is the month where, I really see Venus is going through this underworld experience. And it's very loud right now, obviously, with the eclipse. We're about to have the lunar eclipse where the moon, right, is in the exaltation in Taurus, ruled by Venus. So there's a loud signature around women and values and reinventing ourselves and embodying change, not just talking about change, but being change. Our intimacy, where we seek freedom in intimacy and relationships and sexuality. This is all really coming up loudly at this time. Our self-worth, all of these things. But Venus is in the underworld, when she's in exile in Scorpio. So there's a richness that's available when Venus is in Scorpio that isn't available at any other time. This is definitely an initiation experience where it's like the divine feminine aspect of ourselves. The part of ourselves that loves and wants to connect and uplifts and celebrates life is going into this dark place. And it's not, obviously, it's not, she likes Taurus and Libra. So it can be a little scary, but just know that there is this huge reprogramming going on now. And it's a process, just like pregnancy, you go through stages and then you emerge. Well, she won't emerge till next month, but it's good to feel and see and meditate, during this, especially in this really sacred, powerful eclipse window, to really meditate and think about your values and who you love and what are you loyal to and who are you loyal to, and what needs to be reprogrammed and what needs to change that has seen its day, and it's okay to let it go, right? Well, I would say too, with Venus's, she's going to kind of run a little gamut here, and especially this week and into the eclipse. So let me break that down for you a little bit more. From Thursday through Saturday, November 5th of this coming week, Venus is going to comes into and perfects in an opposition to Uranus. From Thursday, it starts really getting close, that opposition. So from Thursday to Saturday of next week, you'll really feel this planet of love and harmony and relationships in opposition with Uranus. So it's like, yeah, we want agreement, we want peace and harmony. And the opposition with Venus is a kind of a wake-up call to say yes, and it has to have new liberating values that are not status quo, that you're not going to be a doormat. You're going to, on a personal level, you're going to come up with innovative solutions and thinking and moving outside the box of what is normal, Venusian behavior. Like, how are women supposed to behave? How are they not? Shaking loose. You look at Iran, these women standing up, and Uranus is the planet of revolution. So standing up for ourselves and saying, no, this is not who women are, this repressed state, and really speaking up, finding our voices. And so that applies on that. That's collective, but personally, we can use that as an invitation for ourselves of where have we been stuck, and what needs to shift, what needs to be let go of in order to feel and connect with ourselves and have deeply transformative experiences with loved ones, with our relationships or marriage, or all of our loved ones, sisters and daughters and mothers. Venus, divine mother, covers it all. So that's the opposition. That's a major transit this month. Monday, November 7th, then, after she opposes Uranus, this is like this little like I don't want to say obstacle course, but it's these different phases, these different facets are going to be coming up of this deeply transformative process around ourselves and who and what we love. The square, Monday, November 7th, we have a square. Venus will square Saturn in Aquarius. So Taurus, Aquarius, square. Something's got to give, right? Venus meets up with the planet of accountability. It's like a little pressure to say, hey, let's be patient and wise as we transform. Let's remember the long term. Let's be mature about this. Let's take our time. Let healing occur over time. The healing that's going to occur is going to be long lasting, or Saturn is calling us to have this is a long lasting thing, right? Saturn's not going to be back in Aquarius for 30 years, right? So Saturn's in its domicile. It's been in its domicile for will be 5 years when it leaves into Pisces next year. So this is definitely about getting our foundations right, that will last, that will be sustainable, and obviously healthy boundaries. I would say that would be calling for that as the Venus enters that square. Did I say Taurus? I meant to say earlier, Venus and Scorpio squaring Saturn Aquarius. Sorry, whoops. Anyway, yes, the square causing accountability. Tuesday, November 8th, of course, is our total lunar eclipse, and is a total lunar eclipse. So that's going to be really fun to watch. I don't know I have to look up what part of the world it could be seen in. I forgot to check. But anyway, I can post that on the comment section below. But this is going to be interesting because it's exalted. The moon is exalted in Taurus, right? It's like really great place for the moon, but the moon's going offline, right? So it is the Earth's shadow will pass over the moon and make it look reddish, like a reddish brown. So the moon's offline. So, there's this, and as that is happening, Mercury is in a cazimi with the sun. It's within a minute of the sun. Mercury in that cazimi. So that is the mind, our mind, our logical mind, are in the sign cazimi with the sun, the Scorpio. So what deep penetrating insights does our divine self want to share with us? This is when we get a private audience around these things. What deep penetrating psychological insights. Maybe it's revealing where there has been where we have polluted our minds with thinking that is, when you talk about right use of will, like in Buddhism, it's like, where have we been thinking in the wrong direction, or with the old patterns that need to be purged? And so this is a really magical time, Mercury and cazimi. Deep penetrating insights can come to us easily using this time, meditating, prayer, using this really wisely. As it's doing that, as Mercury is receiving its, conversation with Goddess, then there's also this, it's also opposing. Mercury cazimi with the sun is in opposition to the moon, right? The Uranus, right? In the opposition with Uranus. So again, bringing in that theme of, you know, what needs to be liberated around these topics. Where can we let go, and where can we I'm hearing the word sustainably source ourselves. Certainly in the collective, you know, we think about planning and, you know, crops and the food supply, Venus and Taurus, and Uranus and Taurus conjunct the moon. Maybe there's a sudden change in these things, an aha moment where we become enlightened around what feeds us, what kinds of what things feed us metaphorically and spiritually, and also actual real world. Like, wow, we've been getting a lot of conversation out there around the food supply. I just saw an article about the Mississippi River is in a drought, just like the West. And then the Army Corps of Engineers has to keep dredging, right, to keep the barges from 8 barges have been gotten stuck. And so there's all this lack of water, right? South Node eclipse in Scorpio, solar eclipse in Scorpio, right? Loss of water, here it is, right? And so these changes, they're calling us to look deeply at these things in the collective. And it's time. It's like the old ways. Remember, I always said about eclipses in the other video, these falling away, and there's no going back. There's this new major change occurring, and we get to create, you know, how that's going to be, what will it take to evolve us out of this wasteful society into something that's more regenerative and sustainable. Okay, so I would say too, on a yogic perspective, the lunar eclipse is like, you know, Mercury you think about the nervous system and the light body, and with Uranus, especially Uranus, the nervous system, light body, and Mercury in the mind and the body connection. You know, think about activation of that. There could be some outrageous, you know, event like a Kundalini awakening. When you think about the lunar rules your physical body, right, in your material circumstances, your material realm, the realm of yourself as the embodied soul on earth. So lunar is the body, the home, the mother, how we mother ourselves. I would say too, nurturing and embodying. And again, that aspect, that wild card aspect of out of the box thinking. So yeah, it's pretty, and Mercury ruling the lungs. So using our lungs and doing some deep Kundalini breathing and pranayama, that is really, really juicy with these eclipses. Okay, so the other few things that are the major things for the rest of the month, I'm looking at, you know, Venus will leave this in her exile. She will leave and come out into the world, gain a little dignity there, Wednesday, November 16th. So that's when, you know, and it won't be until December where she's out of the beams of the sun. So she's still within the beams, but it's still, so the transformation may not be seen or really integrated until such time, but it's starting to move. Then Saturday, November 19th is the Mars retrograding, coming back into that square with Neptune and Pisces. So we could be seeing, you know, that could cause a lot of confusion or lack of clarity around our communications. We're certainly, I would say of all the times in the next few months, November 19th, and then around January, when Mars will be back in this position direct, but Mars will be back in that position again come January. And these two times are probably going to be the most opportune for confusion and deception. And so this could be about, we get in touch with, are we deluding ourselves, or what attitudes and stories that we have around ourselves and our abilities and our goals and our ambitions, where are we fooling ourselves? On the other hand, it's like, what is the ideal situation? What do we think that's impossible, but we want to, allowing that Neptunian energy, the Piscean Neptune energy, full of faith and hope, you know, that yes, we can change our mind, that yes, we can have these, we can have mystical, deeply transcendent mystical experiences that change our direction in life. What flashed into my mind as I'm saying that is, there was some Bible story of like that was it Saul? Saul on the way to Damascus in the Old Testament, and then he had this like experience. It was probably a Kundalini awakening, but you know, the nuns, they didn't know about that. It's like, but Sister Mary Jarlith, what about the Kundalini awakening? Shut up! Don't listen to that. Anyway, I don't know, whatever he had, it was like the crown chakra, Sahasrara, right, blown open, and he just saw everything differently. So honestly, I think that could be a really, really juicy time. We want to lean into that, you know, so that's just my opinion. You can do it everything you want. You can stay confused, or on the individuated person would see this as a grand opportunity to connect with these transcendent parts of ourselves and have that inform our goals and our ambitions. Tuesday, November 22nd, the sun goes into Sagittarius, so it leaves Scorpio, and it's ruled by Jupiter. The ruler of our this year's Sag season is a retrograde Jupiter when it starts its ingress into Sag. So retrograde Jupiter coming, we're reviewing, you know, what is my truth? What is my highest truth? Myself as that great, you know, God conscious, Christ conscious, Buddha conscious being. How we, you know, how do we navigate that? There's looking at that big picture is certainly, looking at that big picture is really, really going to be loud for this Sag season. Okay, you know, I'll talk more about that when it happens, but interesting because the very next day that's the sun enters Sag, the next day Jupiter stations retrograde. So there's this coming, it's at that still point, and it's then starting to move forward. So bringing that optimism and bringing those newfound insights, prophecy, intuition is all very high. Those are conversations that Jupiter has, especially in Pisces, and then it's going direct. So maybe it's about, oh, thank you. That was the universe saying, yeah, Jing, Jing, pay attention, bringing them out into the world again. Now that it's going in direct motion. All right, Wednesday, November 23rd, is that like the day before Thanksgiving? I don't remember, but the new moon is in Sagittarius. So, you know, right away, sun enters, the host goes direct, and we have a new moon. So there's a lot of excitement around that time, you know, especially when a major planet stations direct. It always kicks up a lot of important stuff. Where that is in your chart is where you'll be discovering, you know, truths about yourself and revelations and such. Excuse me. New opportunities, ideal opportunities, you know, presenting themselves, moving forward. So we have the new moon in Sag. It'll be 1 degree of Sagittarius. Then Wednesday, at the same day, you know, as it's, like I said, as it's a few, like 6 hours after that, the sun, you know, Jupiter will station direct. So a lot of cool stuff around Thanksgiving there with that opportunity. Then on November 28th, closing out the month, the other major conversation I want to have with you today is a Mars trining Saturn. So Mars in retrograde, right? And it's going backwards, and it's lining up in a nice trine with Saturn. And so that you could say is like, you know, the cold logic, the cold logical patient wise mentor that Saturn represents is a cold logical air blowing onto the hot out of bounds retrograde air of Mars and Gemini. So maybe it's like, dude, I know you're all over the place. You're over caffeinated for a few months, and oh, there it is again. Ding, ding. Yeah, like cool your jets, and let's and you know, it's like kind of like Saturn feeling, oh gosh, I'm sorry that you can't figure things out, or you're trying on a lot of things, but it's like, just remember, whatever you're trying on, try to think about the future, you know, try to take us with you on that journey, and let us give you some of our experience, like a wise okay, thank you. Third time's a charm. Let us give you some, it's like the wise mentor that says, okay, buddy boy, let me tell you, I've been there and I know what that's like. And, you know, like the wise person, the wise grandfather or grandmother, and says, let me help you out with that. Let me help you sort things out and be logical about this, and, you know, offering that. So it's a nice place to get some like a little respite, you could say. All right, so that's really all I wanted to talk about for the overall major transits for November. And again, I will break each week down with some more transits that are not as hugely critical, but that will certainly color the month. So anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this, and I wish you all a wonderful, wonderful, transformative month of November. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. We are always so grateful for that. And I love to hear what do you want to do with this? How are you guys doing with this eclipse season? Leave your comments below, and we will see you next time. Thank you so very much. This is Irlianna, StarSound Speaks, StarSoundastrology.com. Namaste.